Unfortunately,
I
I've got a bit of a negative...
Fudge. What is it?
Fudge. What?
Slab wrangle.
Slap wrangle. Genade. Okay, fudge again. Yep, go.
What I've got is a less positive version of that, a bit of a darker version, is I quit for a long time after Northern expansion, what was it? Frozen Throne.
Frozen Throne, yeah.
And I skipped Cataclysm entirely, and then I decided one day, let's play Mr. Pandaria again. And, I experienced that same nostalgia with the login and all of that, but sadly there was this overwhelming sensation throughout the play of Faded Glory. It's not the same. It's not the same. There isn't the same. The friends you made on there aren't there anymore. The things you've achieved are now far in the past. A lot of the players have absolutely no idea about the hassle you had to go through in order to grind for your pre-tier 1 dungeon armor, where you had to go through what was it? The Black Fathom Depths. The Black Rock Mountain, and you had to collect the scraps of Dark Iron scraps and trade hundreds of these things for a section of armor, and all of that. You talk to players that are just new to the game, and they don't know what that is. Why would you do something like that? And it left me with an overwhelming sensation of Faded Glory. I don't know if any of you experienced that.
Understandable.
The thing is, I can't experience it because I haven't experienced it. The time that I dabbled in World of Warcraft, mainly because, I started playing while I was still in South Africa, trying to play with you guys, and it was just at that point where I reached the level at too late. I entered the game at too late a stage, where you guys were off busy raiding and I don't know what else. I don't know the technical terms of WoW, and
you felt left out, yeah.
I basically went from level 0 to 60 on my own, and not by doing raids. I basically played the game. And it's like, okay, cool, now I'm done, and I don't have the equipment. How do I get the equipment? I need to raid. Okay, cool, let's go look for a group to raid with. Oh no, they only want people with equipment. That circle continues. Is it still true now, do you think? Or is it easier for new people to come into the game?
What I experienced with Mr. Pandaria was that it was too easy to progress from start into a raid level. Once you were raiding, it was harder, but heroic dungeons lost all meaning because they were unnecessary, They weren't difficult, and dungeons in general were, it was a 5-minute thing where you just start at one end and you just keep plowing all the way through. And it takes no more than 5 minutes, which means you don't actually experience the dungeon to its full enjoyment. The people you're with probably don't speak English, because we had a cross-realm looking for group, and it just generally felt too easy to progress in Mr. Pandaria. I don't know, what is the feeling now in Heroes of Dirator?
Well, it's a premise that was created.
Is it Heroes of Dirator? Is that the new expansion?
Warlords of Dirator.
Warlords of Draenor.
Of Draenor, yes. Sorry. Okay, now that we've got the name sorted of the topic. Anyway, no. Of World of Warcraft. The premise was created, I think it was during Frozen Throne, that a lot of people in Burning Crusade and Vanilla were complaining that they were not as hardcore players. Now, I personally had a problem with this at that time, I was very elitist. And this is one problem that is created by most MMOs. I can't say all because I haven't played all, but by most MMOs is you get an elite group of people or a select group of people that are very good at the game. And then the moment you have people that are not so good at the game or have other priorities, they tend to, not prioritize the MMO to the same extent as the other hardcore players. Let's call them hardcore players. And then you get a divide where you get people that are called elitist because they tend to show or point out the mistakes that the other people made, and how they take it, the people that made the mistakes, depends on what temperament they are in. But there's definitely a rift created between elitist players and your normal players. Now, at that stage, for example, I was an elitist. Okay, I was working hard in the game, investing time in the game to accomplish in-game content. So if a normal person or a person that didn't, place the same type of commitment to the game were to enter a raid, a dungeon, whatever the situation may be, I would feel insulted. Okay. And this is building up to the why you have cross-realm looking for raid now, cross-realm dungeons. Why Blizzard made it easier. Blizzard made it easier in an extent for the normal guy or the guy that has a 8 to 5 job and who just wants to come home and beat up a bunch of orcs, to experience end-game content. But they've also made it possible for the elitist group to still be challenged and rewarded for more difficult content. And the way they did that, for example, was bringing in things like looking for raid, where the requirements are a lot less severe and the rewards are significant, but not as good as an heroic or a mythical dungeon, for example, which is different difficulty levels, settings that you can do it on. I have a friend who only plays games on the most difficult setting. He finds it extremely interesting to struggle. Personally, I play it on normal settings, normal people settings, because I want to find it challenging, but I don't want to die 100 times trying to get through the first door.
Yeah.
My wife, for example, plays everything on easier settings. She wants to experience the game, not so much the struggle. Or the reward of finally beating something, you know what I mean? And that's how people are also different. To say that everybody must be the same and play the same game was harsh, and that's how it was in vanilla. And that's why what you said earlier makes complete sense to me, that you came back and you felt like that the game has been made way too easy.
Yeah.
But it's also, again, it's based on which part of the content you explored. To get back to your question now, about is it still easy or is it difficult? Yes, it is easy. And as I explained earlier about the heirloom items, which you can buy to boost your character faster. One of the things that I've always said about World of Warcraft is the game only starts once you've reached the maximum level, because then you can explore the end game content. You know what I mean? If you are one of the people that love the lore, that love the story behind World of Warcraft, nothing forces you to kill things as quickly as possible and skip past the story. You are more than welcome to go and use your heirloom items or whatever, and then follow the quest line, follow the story, follow the canon. It's only that if you want to progress, if you want to experience the end game content. During Burning Crusade, it was killing Illidan, for example. Illidan Stormrage. Cataclysm, killing Blackwing. Icecrown, killing what was it?
Arthas.
Yeah, then push for it. Do it. I think, and again, I've only got good things to say about World of Warcraft because they've brainwashed me the last 10 years. No, I'm kidding. No, because I still enjoy the game.
Damn you, Blizzard!
Okay. Damn you, Blizzard, brainwashing me. No, like I said, I have another mistress which is completely different. So no, I'm not brainwashed. I'm just enjoy the game. And thus, face it. Decide for yourself what you want to do. Don't measure yourself against what other people are doing. Because if that's the way you want to be in the game, it's most likely the way you're going to be in life. And if you measure yourself against other people in life, you will always come second.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody stronger, faster, smarter. So make peace with what you are capable of and what you want. I think is the most important, because if you can decide what you want, then you'll be satisfied. As long as you don't know what you want, nobody can satisfy you, or nothing can satisfy you.
That is true.
And now, back, you quickly mentioned on it. Sorry, I'm kind of leading the discussion here. I'll continue, Mac.
No, please do.
Angle.
Yes.
Continue.
What was the topic?
Okay, I'm gonna go back.
You were gonna ask me a question.
I'm gonna go back. How? And this is again for George because he's been playing World of Warcraft. Oh, and as a side note for the viewers, I think this is inspiration. This video series has gotten inspiration from Let's Forget, a series by Yahtzee and his friend, where they play a game and talk about the games industry. So thanks to them for that inspiration. Totally by accident. Anyway, going back to the whole, you brought it up quickly, the community. You said your community was good, George. It was decent. It was a decent community. Did you return to your old guild?
Yes, I did. Fortunately, I wasn't kicked for being away for so long. No, they did remove me because guilds do this. And previously, again, when I was an elitist, I was part of the guild top structure, a group top structure. And a lot of people feel insulted when they go away from the game for 6 months to a year and come back and their group has removed them from their guild. Mm-hmm. Personally, I understand the mechanics around it. You've got a certain amount of people that you play with and things just get cluttered. I mean, some people are hoarders. They collect everything and leave them around the house. Some people don't. They throw out every X amount of time, they throw out all the old stuff and replace it with new stuff. So when I to get back to the question, when I joined again, no, I was not in a guild. I was removed due to absence, and I simply contacted one of the officers and one of the leaders of the guild, and I said, "Listen, I'm back now. I want to play again. How about throwing me an invite there again?" And they invited me. So, but yet again, like I said, it's a good group. Unfortunately, I believe, like in all circles of life, and we must see World of Warcraft as an extension of life, because the people that play in World of Warcraft are still people. Yes, it's an avatar running around. Yes, it's a character in a different world, but it's still controlled by somebody from this world. And, these people have feelings and they have their own moods and attitudes and everything. So I believe you get bad groups. I believe that you might find a group of people that are from a different country, from a different background, that treat things differently. If you understand what I'm saying, or what I'm trying to bring across here.
Yeah. And the people you play with, are they? You said different country. Are they mostly South African? Are they European? I think it's European because you play on European servers, right?
Yes, it's mostly European. Although there is a lot of South African players, I found that the majority of South African players are integrated into other guilds. It's actually an interesting concept to think about, creating a South African guild. But no, the majority of the people in this guild that I'm in at the moment are European, from Britain, I think most of them are actually from the Netherlands. There are a few South Africans. I think we're 4 or 5 in the guild at the moment, that play at odd times. But no, the majority of them are from... That's also a good concept, or a good thing about MMOs, in my opinion, is the fact that you get to experience other people, other cultures, other... how people react differently, because we all react in a certain way from our conditions or circumstances around us, and how the different people get along. Yeah.
On that topic, I may have had a slightly more negative experience with the community than you, for reasons that are actually completely external to the game. Now, when I started playing, I was the first of all of us that actually started playing. And I think your wife's brother was one of the first ones to join me, and the two of us used to play together. But my problem then was I had this elitist guild in mind from the start. It was, the idea was to experience endgame content, to do all of the endgame as best we can. I had a whole system in place when I started playing the game. I even got my guild charter at level 10, And the problem with that was I was on a very limited bandwidth at the time, which meant 2 weeks of the month I couldn't play. And that in itself makes being in a leadership role very difficult, because for the 2 weeks that you aren't there, the guild doesn't have any form of real leadership, right? And, the guild started out as maybe 4 or 5 people, but the 2 weeks absence thing did start getting a bit frustrating to the guys, and they eventually left the guild in favor of another guild that had similar in-game content in mind, and because of that, a large rift was generated between the two groups of people, and the two guilds would compete very strongly in certain aspects, and eventually their guild caved due to leadership problems. I think the leader decided to stop playing, and that lot came over to my guild, but it wasn't something I should have allowed, thinking back, because they came across and immediately decided, that they're doing us a favor by joining us, and therefore they're going to take up the leadership roles in it. And I told them, no, that's not how it works. You joined our guild, you will follow it according to our rules, And progressively I make a lot of concessions for players. Again, I had to allow for less elite players. Eventually I had to allow for casual gamers as well, and the guild lost structure. It lost proper cohesion, because you would have half the guild not interested in raiding at all, while the other half was frustrated because there weren't sufficient people that had the correct gear to raid. And this was a problem on a broader scope of the server itself, and I think that's actually largely why George himself and your wife left and moved to a different server, is because the server itself was heavily populated by people that didn't want to take it seriously. So ultimately, that aspect of it started becoming like work, and you don't play games for work. I mean, after a while I had to be a diplomat, because this one wasn't getting along with that one, and I had to mediate between this group and that group, and I had constantly people threatening to leave the guild because of this, and it became a very difficult thing, and eventually I decided, I don't want to do this anymore. So I gave up leadership of the guild and stopped playing the game for a while. And when I came back, it was a very difficult thing to get back into a routine, because the people that you played with, you understood their styles, you understood their gameplay, and to come back and find a new group of people with this negative experience in the back of your mind, it jades you a little bit. You start being a little bit more mistrusting of people, and because of that, on that specific realm, I wasn't too positive towards the general community. Whereas when I did change realms, I lost my identity in a sense, because I'm new here, I know nobody there, and at that stage it was basically just myself and George's wife that were playing at the time. None of the people that I knew previously were playing anymore. So in that aspect it was slightly negative, but I'm sure that there's a lot more positive than negative. Like George pointed out, he managed to rejoin his original guild, and he's raiding again. So I suppose it's a hit and miss affair. Luck plays a huge factor.